Start recording. Everything looks fine. Let's start. Yeah. Today topic's supposed to be Pawnshop, but okay. I know. Hard discussion, hard decision, and a lot of unclear moments. uh, Tritium, you can ask your questions. Uh, Unfortunately, I can't open dedicated chat. I can't see your previous question. I will try to remember. Okay, great. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, let me know if you want to talk here or do it in chat, but
Mhm.
we can also do voice.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. A lot of products finally completed.
Yeah, no, there's exciting things going on in T2 end. I agree. There's things moving. It's nice.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with discussion about this proposal for Tetubal because I guess who will see recording they don't search on the video where we discuss this because okay. Uh, I can predict your questions, and it is a complex situation, and we need to find conclusion that will acceptable for all. And I know I post this proposal in in not from discussion numbers because numbers always we title holders will want higher numbers, higher quote, table lower. It is no sense to discuss. Better to provide some math. I made some calculations, and these values supposed to be aligned to everything, every purpose, maintain the pack, provide a good, powerful VTETO, um, and Tetubal holders can put not so much part of their stack to liquidity. For example, you hold 100 Tetubal. Uh, doesn't matter in X Tetubal or directly voting. You need to put in liquidity only 15 Tetubal. Currently, composition of the pool 95.5%. So you literally need to just stake Tetubal in another place with little part of uh, um, liquid tokens, Ethereum ball. So what we have in the end, Tetubal holder received, for example, for this 100 Tetubal, he received, for example, $10 bribes. If he moved 50%, 50 Tetubal to liquidity, he will receive on 50% lower, so $8.50. But if this pool, if liquidity pool will compensate this in form of rewards, some part of this, and I suppose at some moment it will compensate even more or
But why?
comparable numbers.
Why? That's my question, right? So, I mean, I agree. You realize, I design Gravity, or I've worked with this a lot, right? So, the reason that it would compensate more is either because T2 is directing vote weight there, right? T2 is bribing to direct vote weight there, or somebody is voting for it, right? And then if that person is voting for it, right, they're getting some percent, but they're losing a bunch to like everyone else. So
Yes,
it
Tito,
is it
do you know we are already voting for this pool? Rewards not live yet, it's delayed, but we voted
yeah,
previous round.
for what pool?
We voted from X to ball. We voted from with half power. It will be 1% V-ball power voted for this pool already. We have prepared
From equity. Yeah.
$60,000 prepared for rewards for liquidity. I just afraid that we put these rewards and nobody will put this liquidity. So we in this way also push community stake this their tattoo ball. A part of their tattoo ball can be staked and receive some part of rewards. I know it is uh, game theory. Very hard to start to believe everyone that need to make one action and everyone will be successfully more than if one guy make everything. Previously, what we had Humpy take care about everything. It is not fair. I'm not happy with this. I don't want to push Humpy to put this liquidity. I want community push to taking care about liquidity, at least start thinking about these questions, and uh, we can extend attractiveness of this pool. We can put rewards as need. Uh, we don't have a lot. We can't put a lot, but we can start in this direction. We can put small part. We can, I don't know, try to find some partnerships or anything else.
Well, so here's here's what I'm trying to understand because I like it. Like, I wrote, I think, Paringo, which I think is Dr. T2, right? I actually suggested something pretty similar to this to him a few months ago, right? And I agree, like, it's really important that there's liquidity. It's really important that, like, everybody's participating in it, right? There is, though, this reality that there is Humpy, right? And he's like a big part of it. And so, like, if there's not 15% in the pool under this current thing, right, then there's this 30% fee being taken, which is very beneficial to VE-BAL and is very beneficial to LPs. But basically, right, like Humpy's kind of like you've got him like over a cliff, right? So it's kind of like the situation just puts him in a place where it's like you do it, or basically like you're fucked and like nobody else is nearly as fucked, right? And so I think, and I guess all I'm saying is it seems to me like I haven't done the math, right? But like how much is 5% of the bribes going to T2-BAL, right? Like if there's always 5% going to VET2, I'm just interested, like what would
Uh,
the yields on
we
VET2 as it stands
right
be?
now VTET has only part of bribes that place it in the pool. We didn't
Right.
change it since the launch,
And no, I get it.
and
So
right
simulating it.
now it is, I don't know, 1% maybe, some
So if you
dust.
thought about like if it were 15%, right? Like if this proposal went through as it passed, then basically always 15% of T2-BAL is going as yields to VET2, right? Like how
It is
much
more
money is
interesting.
that?
It is more complex. It is more complex. Think about it. It is start to some play to play a game. Game theory. If nobody taking care about liquidity, everyone will have 30% cut on the bribes, and we will take care about liquidity because we use this
Right.
huge cut to taking care about liquidity. And in situation if nobody start to taking care, we will quickly accumulate enough liquidity, and the more we accumulating, the more reducing this cut from all users. So every round, every epoch, it will be reduced. It is in the case if nobody taking care, but it is no economical sense because
Yeah, Humpy will
it,
have to take care of it, right? Like it's
yes,
for him,
yes.
he just gets totally screwed. So then in effect, what you're saying is Humpy or somebody else, everybody's got to put 15% of T2-BAL in the pool, right? Then there's 15% of T2-BAL there. 100% of those fees are going to VET2. My question is only how much money is that per week? right? Like I don't have the math. We can do it later, right? How much money is that per math? And then like what are
15%.
the
In
yeah.
terms of bribes, it is around three, maybe $5,000 paper.
Okay. So 5,000 times 52, right? 52 weeks. So that's $260,000 a year. And how much is locked in VET to?
Um, no,
You
I
know the
don't. I
value?
don't remember correct numbers, but in my
Because
calculations with current TVL, it was 15% IPR with 15% good. uh,
that so, but then that
it
seems
should
off.
be around, the wall bribes with offered could around a bit more than $100, $100,000 per year.
But if it on 15% of T2 Bella, I don't know. I have to do the math, but it feels to me like, and maybe I'm just totally wrong. I'll do it afterwards, right? But it feels to me like this is going to result in 100% yield for VET2, right? Yes, it'll help the liquidity. Yes. And I think like Humpy, everybody agrees with this, right? My thing is, I just think like VET2 needs to be a little bit gentle on the take. So doing things like saying you're going to use half the liquidity to vote for liquidity and send half to VET2 means that LPs are directly getting half that value, right? And then at like 10%, you're at a 5% fee, or even at like 1530, you're at a 7.5% fee going to VET2, right? And then that from a high level economic situation where you're humpy or like really in general, right? That just feels more in line with what people are doing and like not such a drastic step from like the you're not paying fees that people signed up for. I mean, I guess that's kind of the little adjustment that I think really helps, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like this, the yields for VET2 will still suck, and like if you did that, you'd totally be rugging VET2. But like, let's think about it, right? Like if VET2 can still have like 30% yields, and half of that can be voting, and it can be a little less intense, like that would.
I don't think it will be so huge numbers. Because it's hard to calculate. A lot of people slept, did not relock their power. It is around 70 million Tetu that did not relock their power. Of course, if they will have uh, good reason, good bribes, they will remember about this. But a lot of just slept. Uh, I don't know how much will relock again, how much will buy new liquidity. It is hard to predict, but my expectation around 20% IPR, it will be good result. Around this 20% after everyone move around and everything else. Maybe at start after the proposal it will be 40% IPR, but I don't think it will be for a long time. Let's see. Let's see. Not only one source of yield, but of course now is the main. But
Let me simulate it a bit. I just think if you do this, it's going to create a lot of, right? Like you're going to piss Humpy off a lot. He's going to then be trying to figure out every way possible to like fuck T2, right? He's going to be talking to Pouncer. He's going to be talking to Aura, right? Like, and I, he came to me and was like, "What can we do
tritium,
to
they
stop it?"
already do it.
Well, I'm
They
here.
our
I am here
influencer
as
fucked
a
up
student,
us
right?
as
Like,
much as
in
possible
my
without any
in
reasons.
my view, just to say, in this ecosystem, in my view, like for the last year, everybody's just been kind of like yelling at each other, right? And then we have these like votes where everybody just votes, and like in the end, what we really want to do is work together and find some compromises. And so, like, I'm here doing this. I'm
Indeed.
here, like, and I'm here in every situation, trying to find like good compromises because in the end, right, we're all locked into this thing for years. right? Like in the end, what's going to make Balancer as an ecosystem succeed is if we're all actually working together, right? And we have to try to
Indeed,
find a way.
indeed. And this proposal, it is not greedy proposal. If you describe every point, if you understand the whole system, how it works, you understand that it is totally not greedy. We do not try to sacrifice something, or we just put a little bit for VTETO, we put a little bit for liquidity,
It's a
a little
lot,
bit, we try
a lot.
to satisfy all
Yeah,
sides.
a lot. Like taking a 15% fee on a VE Bell wrapper, which is in effect what you're doing when you were taking a 0% fee, doing that all at once without any vote redirection, right? Like all of that is just going to governance is three
It can be surprising for somebody not. You already said you had this idea for months. I received a lot of responses, and this is, believe me, it is very uh, gently from what offered me my community and other players, because um, I tried to not touch Tetubal voting power as long as possible. It is just
Yeah,
the last point. We can't wait more. It is
I
just
don't think you should wait. I don't think you should wait. I think T2 peg is important. I like the plan. I would, I'll say it one more time and then we can move on. But I would really suggest like it bare minimum, right? Like I think 10, 20, 50, 50 would be good, but at bare minimum, just at least change it so that you're sending half of the T2 Bell LP vote for T2 Bell LP, right? You can change it more later, but then that's something that like isn't going to make a major stakeholder in this ecosystem, right? Like that's more palatable, and
it
we can
is
move forward and say that. But it's yeah.
these numbers. Come on, come on.
Maybe we chat about it more async, but like I don't think that those are unreasonable numbers, and I don't think like making a smaller change first and seeing how it
Let's
goes.
um, make some calculations. Make some calculations with bribe expectation and how it will look for VTET holders. I know that it can see not huge decreasing in the numbers, but for Tetraball holders it is just 5%, but for VTETO it will be 30%. Because currently the general income only possible only from this direction, only from this product.
What was this about? Just 5% for
I
T2?
mean, we get 15%. If you change it to 10%, it is reducing to 30% for Viteto income. But for Teto Ball holders, this is just 5%. I mean this.
Yeah, yeah. So then you're taking a 5% fee on T2 Bell effectively, right? Which is, in my mind, what is like what rappers charge, right? Like if every other rapper is charging close to 5%, not 15. Um, it's a really high fee and it's a change of contract. But like I don't know, we can talk about it more offline later. I think we're just going back and forth and it's not productive. But like look around the ecosystem, right? Like listen to like what your T2 bell holders
It
are saying. Try to
in
find
fact, even if we implement right now this proposal, the good will be no, it will be even not 50%. It will be around maybe 30% because some tetubal exist even now in the pool. Add a bit more, and it will decrease dramatically. It is not
that still
fixed
comes
fee. It is
still,
easily
like
reduced.
I'm talking about the global situation, right? Like don't think about the players, as you said, like we're trying to be agnostic here, right? 5% of the whatever this percent is, whether it's 15 as it is now, right? That money is going away from T2 Bell. No matter how you look at it, right? Like somebody T2 Bell holders are not getting that money. VET2 holders are getting that money. Right? Like however you structure it, like that is there, right? And so yeah, I understand that there's different ways that the fees flow, but like in effect, right? And that 15% is not even going to the treasury, right? It's going directly to pay VET2 holders, which is fine, but like it is a 15% fee on T2 Bell. Like there's no question about that.
We can propose, I don't know, 30 to 25, 50%, and we
What
talked
about what
about
about
15,
what
30.
about
I just don't know.
what,
It is just
what
looks
about
like you just want reduce a bit in the deal. In
yeah, well, what about the other approach? So the other, what about, and I, like I got to go try to talk to everybody, but what about sticking with 1530, but agreeing that half of the T2 and T2 BAL votes for the LP, right? So that then VET2 is getting about a 7.5% of the bribes, right? Like that could be, that seems also like a potential compromise. And that's still steep in my mind, but it's not nearly as steep.
what we can uh, what we can do, as I described it, is add some rewards on top of liquid for compensate what you put in the pool for reducing this good.
So how much do you have? Like, I mean, it's the math is super simple. There's 500,000 T2 Bell, right? So do you, if you're voting with 50,000 T2 Bell, then that's 10%, right? And you've compensated half the fee, or right? I mean, how much T2 Bell do you have to vote with every 2 weeks, right? You can
Yeah,
calculate that in,
yeah.
but that should be clear, right? Because you've got holders that like that's the economics they're working with.
All numbers need to calculate properly.
Yeah, and then make sense and be like.
Rewards depends on how much people will put rewards. We can compensate. It is obviously will be not the full amount.
Well, no, I mean it's easy. If you're taking a 15% of T2 Bell and you're voting for bribes and then you're paying those bribes to VET2, right? Then that's 15% of 500,000 T2 Bell, which is what, like so 150,000. No, sorry, my brain's not working right now. 50 is 75,000 T2 Bell, right? In order to compensate for that, you would need to vote for the LP with 75,000 T2 Bell. If you have half of that, so if you have about 40,000 T2 Bell and you can vote with that every 2 weeks on the LP, right? Then that is the same as taking half the votes in the LP and voting for the pool itself, right? Like it doesn't really matter, but the point is like how much value are you actually extracting away from VE bell holders and how are you paying it back? And is that then clear so that someone like Humpty is trying to figure out how fuck am I getting by this has an honest like understanding of where he stands.
Right now, I think right now we have enough accumulated V-Ball rewards for compensated for at least 2 months. It should be even a bit bigger. Let's see. It is why I can't say
Well,
because
so
I don't know how much V-Ball rewards we will have. I guess Balancer don't know.
how much
I
do you have now?
uh,
How are you bribing to
yeah,
compensate?
we bribed 10,000 last
Uh,
round for 2 weeks. Yeah, and it is 1% of V-Ball power. So
yeah, I
incoming rewards in form of 1% of V-Ball power.
that's
I
just
don't know how
very
much the emissions need to calculate.
I
Don't
mean,
know.
you put it on the sheet, right? If you can model this all out so that it's clear what's going to happen, then it's easy for people to understand. I can try to model it out, but like I have other things to do, right? But you can do this. You can model it out and you can figure out like how much you're actually charging, how much you're compensating, right? Like what kind of a runway you're drawing that down off of. Like things aren't that unstable in the ecosystem, right? You can make some pretty good projections. But to me, it just all seems more complicated than it needs to be because you could keep all the fees, you could keep all of your bribes, you could not do any of that, and you just take half the fees, half of the T2 BAL and LP and vote for the pool, and then you can take all of that money and use it to pay VET2, right? And then it's like way simpler, and you're not creating all these like flows that are burning down a runway and are super hard to simulate and think about and understand.
Uh, okay. Okay, I will provide numbers for sure.
Yeah, let me jump in also.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
I basically have the same situation. I have tattoo ball and at the same time V-tattoo, and honestly speaking, I'm a bit confused, like how to behave in this situation. What should I do? And basically, I want to ask the same to have some picture maybe with simulation because yeah, it's pretty confusing right now. Yeah, and especially with those numbers, proportions, and how fee will flow.
It's very
Yeah.
confusing. Check contract
You,
and
you,
scripts. Oh, distribution scripted is something.
you want me to try to come up with an alternative proposal that's what I'm saying and that's fully modeled out, right? And that at least like you can tune parameters and like and understand expected outcomes. Because I think that would help, right? Then it's less of a waving hands and more of a yeah, but this. And the problem is the way it's set up now, there's so many factors that like first of all, it's hard to get the data. And second of all, as you said, like there's a lot that can change. It makes it very hard to account for everything.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Uh, I think enough about this question. No, not about proposal at all, but about numbers. Come on. I maybe in proportional at all because um, everyone agrees that changes requires uh, just details discussable. I received feedback that probably make possible to reduce this code if you hold some vitato. But after some uh, okay, it is very technically complex and impossible at the current implementation. If you have ideas about this, no, no, please, no. It will increase complexity 100 times. Okay, Tritium, I want to hear your opinion about Pawnshop and idea with uh, probably you missed that Pawnshop positions with Tattoo Ball with the same behavior as X Tattoo Ball. So you can open position inform if you want to sell Tattoo Ball, for example, you can open position and uh, while you waiting for buyers, you can receive airdrop as your extensible holder. What do you think? Will it add?
So it's basically like a limit order, but you're earning while you're waiting for your order to fill. Yeah, that
Sure.
seems really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems cool.
And also the second case, you can try not sell, but borrow some money. So lender, somebody
I
can
mean, the
give you
only thing
money.
about borrowing, I don't know how Pawnshop works, right? But like there needs to be more stable liquidity. You need to be able to liquidate if you're borrowing. And like right,
It is
like if we get a
peer-to-peer.
pool,
It is peer-to-peer. No liquidations.
but how well, okay. I haven't looked at it, but if there's no liquidations and it doesn't need like ecosystem
Yeah, yeah,
liquidity, then
yeah.
it
Look. You have some tattoo ball. You open position, for example, 100 tattoo ball, and ask some amount of USDC for, I don't know, 50 USDC for your position. That doesn't matter. You uh, you
Is
set
it
up
time
yourself utilization and how much you will return uh, up to what you
is there
received.
time? So it's like the loan is for this amount, and then you have to return it at this point in time, or
Yeah,
else
yeah,
you
yeah. And
surrender.
you
Yeah, that's cool.
you set up, for example, 1 year or 100 days or 1 month.
No, that's cool. Sweet. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool. That sounds like a perfect fit for T2 Bell. That sounds like a good move.
Okay. I hope, guys, you will try this functionality. I opened some examples positions. Probably I will open something more interesting. I don't know. Maybe I will put protocol on liquidity. Uh, Trying to borrow some money. I don't know why we need it and how we'll cover the percent fee. We'll need to earn something on top of this. But why not? Why not? Uh, Try it. It is interesting product and a lot of partnerships will be um, in common, especially with Infinity products and of course my love. Okay, I don't need. I should not choose this, but I like Tangible. I like their idea. I like their idea. I feel like they steal my idea. But okay. Um, for example, cool situation. Misha, he can he can collateralize his house through Tangible and borrow money through Pawnshop. It will
And
be.
look at where that
Huh?
got.
Huh? What?
You're talking about Michael, or who? So maybe I misunderstood. Who?
Uh,
Who?
Michael, yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
Sorry, I pronounced
From
it. He's Russian, so I pronounced it Russian name.
right.
Michael.
Yeah. That turned out not to be the best thing for DeFi, right? Yeah. Be careful how much you borrow on on your giant T2 bags, sir.
Oh, what we can do best it is money leg and huge Ponzi and okay, money leg it is good. And just you overcollateralize a position. It is common. We just don't see this in banks because they're not transparent, but they all overcollateralize it. They in bad debts at all. If you see, they always crash. So it can look ridiculous because all transparent. Somebody bought house and all just bad debts and a lot of liquidations can happen and OTC deals that preventing it. It is very interesting because it is, believe me, it is totally the same as working banks. They do absolutely the same things. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, okay. Uh, Pawnshop add some value for Xtatable. We will develop. We already have idea for version 2 of Pawnshop because I realized it only after the launch, nearly the launch, that open positions for voting escrow, for example, not a lot of sense because you're not able to vote, you're not able to claim rewards, and even if you're able to borrow something, it will be not enough for cover your bribes or rewards. So without bribes and rewards, it is no economical sense for voting escrow using Pawnshop, except some custom. If you, we can easily redirect snapshot voting and make airdrops. Uh, Not so easily manual work, but it is possible technically. So we already have concept. We already have task and task tracker for Pawnshop version 2 about we will make possible to open position what I described for Tetubal when the same behavior as Xtetubal. It will be possible that user totally controls the collateral. Imagine you have position in um, uh, Uniswap NFT, and you will able to claim rewards. Just for example, yeah, we discussed the design. We discussed it with Zargus. We found solution how to make possible. Honestly, it is not so clear, and I I will tell everyone every protocol. It is very cool feature for anyone who has assets inside. No, not just USDC, but something LPs or some many CDP solutions, and there is they should allow some operations for users. It is very interesting. For Pawnshop, because it is individual position, a user who create position will decide what allowed, and lender will see this and will accept these allowed functions or not. If you allowed transfer, obviously it is not secure. We will prevent so obvious malicious allowance. But in the end, we can just mark on UI that these functions allowed we with green color that it is fine, and with red color that we don't know what is it. Please check. Be careful. Um, so I know it is unclear probably at the current stage. It was unclear even for my teammates. I described it multiple times. Just use Pawnshop, play with it, try to borrow something for NFT, and more important, try to land something, try to catch some interesting position. If you're boring and familiar with DeFi, it can be interesting game. Didn't read the chart. Um, yes, we already vote for our position. Oh, 0.9. 0.89. No, not 1%, a bit lower. Uh, our second biggest triple holder said he likes the proposal I sold. Uh, Proposal obviously good designed, at least. I think with the offsetting bribe, it's fine. I'm not sure what is the plan after the 60,000 offset is used up. This amount constantly refuel. Every week we receive rewards from Vibal. It is just pretty weird and confusing about amount. Imagine you have an asset at 10 million cost and receive every week only 1,000 or 3,000. Sometimes 1, sometimes 3. It depends on swap fees. It depends on, don't know, sometimes Balancer shut down fees for Vibal for different reasons, for security reasons, without any announcement or anything. Maybe they announce it. I don't know. I guess not. And now just nobody care about this, but should. It
Are you
is,
talking about, I can answer, you're talking about the balancer fees?
yeah, I mean rewards for Vibal, not bribes.
Yeah. Okay, so let me explain. So
Mhm.
we had a multi-sig that manually had to load that every week, right? And sometimes we were late. Actually, as of a few weeks ago, there's now a keeper that does that, right? So it should be uninterrupted. The value has been pretty low, but I think this Friday we just had this BIP that reduced the amount of money being paid to core bribes, right? So it was 65%. I think now it's 50%. So what that, and this Friday is the first Friday where that kicks in. So and the Dow fees going from 25 to 15. So the point is the direct fees on VE-BAL should be going up. The core bribes may be going down a little bit. And that should like start showing up about a week from now. Yeah, and it should be smooth now. Like it shouldn't be jumpy anymore. I think we fixed that.
Okay, explain me long-term vision of Balancer on this form. Emission is not infinity, it will be lowered. I guess this rewards will be the main stream of profit.
Wait, what emissions? You mean the BAL
Yeah,
emissions?
ball emission.
I mean, yeah, but that's a 30-year schedule or something, right? With a 4-year halving. So
You
there's
cannot print token infinity, obviously.
well, no, I go look at the emission schedule, right? Like it's the rewards every year. The rewards go down once a year, such that every 4 years the total emissions have, right? Which means that there's so like we were at 145K last year, or 126K this year. I think next, but and within 4 years we'll be down to like half of 145, so like 75K, right? But the BAL emission schedule is 50 years long, and it's on a 4-year halving.
Okay, what next? Or it is just no plan.
What in 2050? I mean, I guess the hope is that in 2050 we've figured something else out. There's some real yield. Like, I don't know.
But
I don't think
reducing, how much the reduce in percent? I
as I
don't.
said, we're talking about the BAL. Wait, are you talking about the yields that flow to VE-BAL, or are you talking about the emissions that go to the pool? The emissions that
Yeah.
flow to all the pools
Yes.
based on VE. Yes, so that goes down. Here, I can send you a link, but if you go to docs.balancer.com, it goes down every year by a little bit, and there's a curve. But it's a long curve. I'll drop it in the chat. Let me find the chat. Which chat are you guys in? The one for the AMA itself? Yeah, okay, there. So if you scroll down, there's a graph and you can hover it over it and see all the numbers, right? And that's basically how much BAL is emitted per week is the blue line, and then the red line is the total, circulating supply.
It is pretty dramatical reducing in first years. In 23,
Yeah, by 2026, it'll be half of what it was in 2022.
Yeah, on 20%.
Around
Around 20%.
25% a year, I think, right? Because it halves every 4 years. Yeah.
Mm.
But maybe not, over 4 years, it's 100%, but maybe it's like not 25, 25, 25, 25, right? I don't know. It's some complicated math that nobody understands, and it's been simulated. And
Okay. Just I probably doing
and then
maybe
again, on
I
the other
think wrong direction, but
And then on the other side, in terms of the reason that BAL doesn't go to zero is because there needs to be good yields, right? And so those yields are then both the core bribes, which is a VE-BAL holder you can get, right, and the direct emissions. And as I said, like we're lowering the core bribes, lowering the take that the Dow Treasury takes, and upping the direct emissions in the next week or two, right? So the base yield on VE-BAL should go up a little bit, and bribes may go down a little bit.
mm-hmm. How much percent of this profit from swap fees or boosted pools? Uh, how you split them to uh, directly rewards and bribes? It is some.
So again, let me think about it. So starting this Friday when we do the fee swap, we'll sell everything, right? Then the Dow takes 15%, right? Then 50% of what's left goes to core pool bribes. No, sorry. Let me change the order. So we sell everything for USD. 50% goes to core pool bribes, right? 15% goes to the DAO, and 35% gets paid as direct emissions to VEBAL. Next week. Last week, just to give you a difference, right? Last week, 65% went to core bribes, 25% went to the DAO, right? And then there wasn't that much left to go to VEBAL.
So this
yes.
reward's supposed to be increased, right?
Yeah, the yields, the direct yields on VEBAL should go up.
I just not sure how we get this 60,000. Honestly, what happened?
What's
You immigrated to new rewards from old boosted pool to new, and we upgraded contract, but did not put new rewards to the variable. So when we did it, we get so huge rewards, around 40,000. But it should be maybe 2 months, no longer. So
so so you're trying to understand how you're going to use the 60,000 to bribe in order
no.
to try to.
You said uh, uh, calculate how much we will incentivize the pool. But I have another question: how much rewards we will get from VBAL? You said it is increased a bit from 20.
That's the thing. I can tell you. So if there is 550K VEBAL in in there, right? And 15% of it is an LP, right? So then that's 550 times 0.15, right? And then half of that votes for LP, right? Then that's like 41.5 thousand VEBAL, right? And then you just need to figure out what percentage that is of the voting VEBAL, right? And multiply that by that number. And
Already
you've got your
confused.
I'll do it for you. Well, but that's how it works, right? Like you take the total percent of, so whatever percent voting there is, multiply it times the weekly number. So right now it's times 126K. And that's that. I need to look at do you know what percentage of VEBAL T2 Bell is right now?
Do you
Yeah.
mean how much?
Like what is the total?
5%, around 5, closer to 6.
Okay, so let's say 6%, right? So if you're 6% of VEBAL, right, and then 15%, half of 15% is 7.5%, right? So if you're 6% of VEBAL times 0.075, that's half a percent of VE, 0.45% of VEBAL, right? And then we multiply that times 126 or 129. What's that number? I'm going to say 100. So that's about 58,000 BAL a week. No, I did that wrong.
How much?
Sorry,
How much
5.8 thousand BAL a week, I think, right? Would
per
come
week?
from would come from 7.5% of T2 BAL voting for the pool. I think I need to do it more. Like I need to,
I
but
will be
that's
happy. I need to check how much we received for last week's. But
how are you voting for it now?
oh no, we not vote. I meant
Yeah.
direct rewards. I mean direct
Yeah.
rewards. I mean
Yeah.
what you can claim from VBAL.
Yeah. So yeah, like you have to vote, right? But that's the point. Like it's very easy to like model this all out, and particularly if what you're thinking about is like the cost of T2 BAL versus the cost of raw VE BAL, right? Like comparatively, until you do this thing where you're like paying up to VE BAL and then compensating that with like bribes, right? Because then you're breaking this, then everything's not a vote, right? And then to some extent, like your ability to maintain yields on T2 Bell has to do with like how much money you have, what the bribe premium is, right? There's like a lot of extra factors that come in that make it hard to model. When we're done with this call, I'll try to model something out, right, that doesn't involved that involves all of the voting, the systematic voting for T2 coming from like within the system, right? And then you can keep your money and pay it directly to VET2 or something. But I think like once I get that done, it'll just be a lot easier to think about. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course, of course, of course. I'm trying to find how much we claimed.
Yeah, give me like once I get off this call, I need a half hour. I need to go get all the numbers right
It
and like
is,
double check them.
honestly, it is
Machine
a
and
weird number. Huh. Okay, for some
yeah,
reason, 21 days ago it was 30,000 rewards. After that, 3 weeks with lower than 1,000. I don't know. I guess.
yes, you voted. My guess is that was there's a 1 week, like you have to go back and look at every week of voting and under like the rewards relate to the voting, definitely, always. Like there's no, I guess
It
there's
is
been like
it is directly it is claim on verbal contract. It is not bribes.
well then that
Yes,
yeah, that I'm surprised that's jumping around that much, right? It does jump around a little bit. Like basically we had this
I have
vulnerability, right?
no clues. I see. Okay, 300. uh, 50 days ago, I claimed 300 per week. There
And now you're
literally no clues how it depends because it added manually. I guess from some distribution. I don't know. I don't see the full system. I cannot predict it.
I can show you. I mean, it's hard to predict because it's based on fees, right? So like what
Yes,
is
I
definitely
understand, but so huge difference. Maybe I missed something.
yeah, I think so. But I
Maybe
also
we
like
do
realize
not claim something. It will be very cool. Found few hundred
you're
thousands.
claiming both BAL and BBA USD, right? You're getting balancer and dollars out of it. You should be getting BAL
Yes,
and
we receive balancer and boosted USD
yeah.
BPT.
I mean, it's been pretty. I can show you where all the data is. Like, DM me offline. There's a repo and there's every week, like everything there. So I can show you how much is getting paid in. But I don't know. I haven't heard anybody else talking about that being bumpy. It's been so small that maybe nobody cares. And it's getting bigger, so maybe people will pay more attention to it.
I see that sometimes I receive these huge amounts. Sometimes it is only bouncer. Sometimes it is also boosted pool BPTs. I don't know. Maybe you don't care, but it is good amount, and it is exactly rewards that's supposed to go to liquidity. And we design the system for that these rewards should support liquidity. How we can support liquidity if we receive $300, guys,
I think that
for 8 million?
I get it. I get it. So that's look. I mean, we can look into that more. But the point is that I think like that's the big challenge of designing a DeFi protocol, right? So you
I
design something in the
I
beginning,
know. Yeah,
and
just
then different things happen.
I,
But if the
I
answer,
thought Balancer more profitable in form of directly rewards.
yeah, I mean, there were some votes made to direct more of, so there's the core pool bribes. Yeah, like basically there's been a lot of governance that has directed most of those fees somewhere else, right? And most of it is the core pool bribes. And actually, I would argue that was us taking the best part of the
So
VE33
okay,
system and
so what I should say? You changed the game rules. We changed too. Sometimes it happens. It's fine. No,
yeah,
nobody
I
asked me why I reducing these rewards or
well,
not.
when we
Maybe I
changed the
missed
rules,
proposal.
yeah, but no, you did. And there was like long conversations on the forum and people talked about it and there was feedback and like it was kind of agreed that there was a measured response. Like when we reduced the rewards, Aura actually I'll send it to you. Like there's a long conversation with Aura about it, right? Because they were concerned and it was actually the plan was to do something else. The plan was to reduce the rewards more, right? But what Aura said is like, no, if you guys need money, we'd rather you sell some BAL instead of totally bombing direct yields. And there was a conversation, and we agreed to that and voted on it, and came to a consensus. And that's the same thing that I'd like to do here. If you want, I can.
Did you have proposal for this, or just convo inform? Tritium.
Sorry, I'm looking. So let me find it. The one where we runway adjust protocol fee split. So here's the one. Here's the most recent one, right? Which is in the opposite direction, and we propose that because the treasury has enough money now. So here's the one that's setting things back. And then there, yeah. And then here's the bit where the fees went down.
Okay.
And then there was an RFC thread that's linked there where the whole conversation is.
Okay. I will read it.
There's a very big conversation about this, and the end conclusion was not what was originally proposed, right? Like feedback was taken and we found something that worked for everyone. And I'd love to do that here too. And I think this is a great move, right? Like the way that things are is bad and it needs to change. So I'm excited to see it happening, but let's do it in a good way and try to keep everybody on board for a minute, right? If we can't, then fuck it. But like I'm willing to spend a day or two trying.
Okay. At least we have conclusions that changes is fine, I guess. Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah, I think but again, and I think this is just my opinion on DeFi, right? But like it's really easy to fall into this thing where it's like, okay, like fuck it, let's yell at each other and vote, right? The good decisions come from DAOs where like people that disagree are able to like calm down a little bit, come together, find mutual interests, right? Start to work together, to build together, make the relationships together, right? And you still need to do the voting, but it's much better if that's more of like a rubber stamp and less of like a solution to like two warring factions that can't decide, right? Like every time you do that, you make a bad decision that isn't nobody's right. Finding the middle ground is always better. And yeah, and I think if we want to win in DeFi, like when the sensitive things come up, you got to try to spend the time to do it.
Yes, emotions never help in these questions. Middle ground. It's hard to find if you keep emotions, so I don't know. Old heart.
Let's give me a minute to try to get a model together. I need to sit for a minute and get all the data and make sure that I'm not just spewing shit. And then I'll come back and I'll drop it in that the TIP-19 channel.
Okay, Tritium, I think we need to finish our MA because it will be a long recording, and I guess other questions we can discuss in the chat. So, thanks everyone for their time. Thanks for question. Thanks for discussion, and let's find middle ground. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a nice impromptu AMA.
Thank you.